Hey everyone, Merry Christmas! I wanted to come on here just to wish each and every one of you a very happy and very safe Christmas this 2016. I hope wherever you are, you're happy, you're smiling, you're spending time with your loved ones, or if you're by yourself, I hope you're having a fabulous time, and I hope that all the good things that this beautiful life has to offer you will come to you, not just for today, but also for many days to come. So I wanted to change environments a little bit. So if you see a little different backgrounds, because this is kind of like the quietest part of my apartment, because it is Christmas time, there are people playing music, and some of my neighbors are playing upstairs. So if you hear any background noise, I do apologize in advance, but like I said, I live in New York City, so you do what you gotta do, okay? So I wanted to come on here to just talk about a couple of things. For starters, of course, wishing you all a very Merry Christmas, or Happy Hanukkah, or Happy Kwanzaa, or just Happy Holidays in general, because sometimes I don't know what everyone celebrates, so I just like to cover all bases. However, some of us out here may not be enjoying this holiday season, and there are many reasons for that. There are some people out there that are homeless. There are some people out there who do not have their loved ones. They're not with their families. Maybe they are incarcerated. There are people who have experienced death, so they no longer have their loved ones with them. There are people who have who are going through job loss, where maybe they have had some type of layoff. There are people who have had breakups. Maybe the marriage ended, or maybe the relationship ended. And then you have something called poverty. There are a lot of people, even I know personally, who are going through very extreme poverty, and they are lucky if they can even find any type of food to eat. So there's a lot of things going on in the world, and sometimes we tend to focus our attention on that only during this time period, because Christmas is the time of giving, it's a time of charity, it's a time of sharing. It's a magical time in general, but it can be a very depressing time as well. And I'm not making this video to depress anyone or to make anyone feel uncomfortable, but I think it's something that needs to be discussed. I think that one of the things we have to be mindful of is that we cannot lose focus on what's going on around us. We cannot lose focus and forget about those who are suffering, who are going through it. And some people out there might feel like, hey, I'm living a great life. Why should I care about that person over here, over there? Why should I be concerned about their hardship if I'm not going through hardship? And you know what? You don't have to be concerned necessarily. But always keep in mind that one thing about this life, none of us are exempt. And any of us could be in the same situation as our fellow brothers and sisters. So we have to be a little mindful of that. For me personally, I'm home with my mom, and I'm very happy to be spending the holiday season with her. But I don't come from a big family, so I don't know what it's like to have cousins and aunts and uncles, because I come from a very small family. There are a lot of people I know who come from big families, and I think it's great. I think it's really nice to have a lot of relatives around to celebrate the holiday season with. But for a lot of us who don't have that, may not really know what it feels like. Sometimes, for me personally, I like to consider my friends as family, but sometimes even in that doesn't always turn out to be the case. There are situations where you may have people around you, but you may not be close to them, and so it might be a little difficult to feel that close family kind of stuff, so to speak, if that makes any sense. Let me give you another example. I am single. Have no problem sharing that publicly. There are a lot of single people out there who do not have a special someone. There are people in relationships right now that do have someone, but they're not happy with them. And there are people who are married who might be going through marital problems. There are people who have children that are going through issues with their kids, or they don't have children but want to have kids, or whatever. There are so many things going on, let me tell you. And I can tell you from on this side, being a single woman with no children, it can be a lonely time around Christmas, because this is the holiday where you spend time with friends and family, and I don't get a chance to really do that. It can be very lonely, I'll be honest with you, and it's something I don't talk about too much because I am a proud person, and I think for a lot of us who are going through personal situations or are feeling lonely, or maybe we're going through some type of problem or whatever, we may not feel comfortable calling that person, our friends or family, or just people that we know, and say, hey, this is the situation, this is what's going on. So if you are kind of going through that, know that I sympathize and I empathize with you. I also empathize with for those of you out there who might have lost your jobs during this time. I know for me, when I first lost my job, it was around the holiday time, so I do understand how devastating that can be, and it's something that is just so unfortunate. And even for me, I don't understand how you can let people go during the most busiest and happiest time of the year. But losing a job at any time is devastating. So it really doesn't matter if it's Christmas time or not. It's still a devastating situation. So if you're in that situation, or if you're unemployed and you don't have money, then just know I personally can sympathize and empathize with you. And then the other thing I want to speak on is the fact of living. You know, there are people out there who are not lucky enough to, or don't have the opportunity to have a roof over their head, and it's really sad. It's very sad. But this is a crisis that is ongoing. It's year round. It's day by day, and I think that more needs to be done to address this issue, because no one should have to be in the street, especially children, and it's just very unfortunate. But what's also unfortunate is people who do have homes, or you live in a complexes like where I live, where you live in an apartment and you don't appreciate that. You destroy your apartment. You do things to be disrespectful or disruptive or rude to your fellow neighbors. So even if you have a roof over your head, which is great, but sometimes if you're living in a situation where you have neighbors who are not very nice, or they're inconsiderate, or they're rude, or they do things that's just very disrespectful, that is also a big problem, and that could be a stress as well. And a lot of times when people speak on this, the first thing that most people say is, well, just move out, just get over it. But you know something, it takes money to move, and if you don't have that option presented to you, it could be very difficult. So if you're in a situation like that, where you're living amongst people that are not the nicest, or they're not as neighborly, again, I sympathize and empathize with you. This is just my personal opinion about all of this, and I hope it brings some type of inspiration or some type of comfort to you. Just know that you're not alone. Let me start by saying that. A lot of times when you're going through any type of life's challenges, you tend to feel by yourself. Lord knows I feel that way pretty much all the time. But know that you're not alone. You're not alone, and even if you don't feel comfortable talking about it, just know that you're not by yourself. If you are going through a situation where you're feeling very frustrated, you're angry, you're hurt, or whatever, and maybe the people around you are not the most supportive, or they just not willing to listen, or whatever the situation is, one way that has helped me to get by is by writing. Writing is a great way to express yourself, and you don't have to be a great writer. You don't have to be even that good at it. You can just take out a piece of paper and just write down exactly how you feel. And the best part about this is that only you are the one who's reading this, no one else. Unless you decide to share it with the world, that's totally up to you. But honestly, it's really what you put on the paper. It's for your eyes only. And I must tell you, I've been writing for a long time, and I write in my journals, because I tend to write a lot. But it definitely makes a difference, believe me. If you're not a writing person and you're just like, I don't feel comfortable doing that, we live in the world of technology, which is great. So you don't even have to write. On our smartphones, we do have that voice feature. You can just do a voice recording. Just express how you feel. And then play it back and listen to it. And see if anything that you said kind of helps you to reflect on how you're feeling. Again, this is just for you only. You don't have to share this with anyone. Some people go to social media to express their feelings, or their anger, or their frustrations. Now, I will say this. I'm on social media as well, and there are times I just want to say it like I mean it too. But you have to be careful with social media, because what you put out there stays, and you don't want to say anything to, one, offend people, or to say something that's going to come back to bite you later on. So just use that with caution. I think if you want to be expressive, the best way to go about that is having a blog, because it's yours, it's your blog, it's your opinion, and people can go to it if they see fit and read what you have to say. Again, go with caution. Go with caution. And then let me just speak on a spiritual level. Another great thing that helps is prayer. If you're not a believer, this may not necessarily apply to you, but if you are a believer, you do believe in a higher power, then prayer, or just speaking to a higher being, is one of the greatest ways to help cope with your problems or your situations, because I strongly believe in the power of prayer. Prayer really helps. Trust me on that. When you really feel like you're by yourself and nobody's listening to you, you just feel alone, you feel depressed, prayer really, really makes a difference. Believe me. And if you have strong faith and you believe, I also believe that things will turn out better for you. It's one of the things that has helped me in a lot of my own personal struggles and problems. So that's something I would personally recommend as well. A way to help cope with any problem or situation is get active. Read a book, watch your favorite program, maybe play a sport, play music or listen to music. I know for me, downloading music makes me feel very happy, so listening to your favorite songs really helps. Dancing helps. It's good exercise as well. If you're an artist like myself, if you like to craft and create things, really working with your hands is a great way to help relieve stress. So try an art project. You don't have to be an artist or a writer to do any of these things. You're just trying to cope with your situation, because some situations, it is just what it is for right now, but it will get better. And if you're lucky enough to have a good close circle of friends, then yes, talk to your friends. Let them know what's going on, and hopefully they'll be able to advise you and be your support system. Go to your family if that helps as well. If you do not have those things, then sometimes, believe it or not, this may sound a little different, be a pen pal. Now, I'm not saying be a pen pal to express all your problems to, but sometimes making new friends is another way of helping you cope with your current situation. So I hope that these tips kind of help you get through the Christmas blues, so to speak. For me right now, I can tell you, I have my share of trials and tribulations and frustrations, and I have tried to reach out and talk to some people, but sometimes to no avail. It just doesn't work. And I think people think that I'm just this happy person all the time, and so I don't feel nothing, and if I do feel something, it tends to be dismissed or taken very lightly, and that frustrates me a lot, believe me. So what I do is I just try to make my own fun, so here's Christmas time, I throw on my little scarf and my Santa hat, and I just do what I have to do. I craft, I will sing off key if necessary to my favorite song. I come on here on YouTube and talk, because this is another way to help release whatever stress that you may be feeling. Whatever you can do to not keep it in, because keeping it in, and I'm speaking from my own experience, doesn't take away the pain. It just makes it worse. So try to release it. Try to let it go as much as possible. And if you find yourself in a situation where you are around people who are not making you feel happy, or they're not encouraging, or they're not supportive, then take a step back. Don't find yourself around them too much, because it's not to say you can't be their friend, but when you're going through a tough time, you need support. And I've learned that the hard way, that when you need that support system and you go to people who are not supportive, believe me, it will make you feel extremely uncomfortable. You will feel so aggravated that you even wasted your time pouring your heart out to people who really don't give a damn. And I'm just saying it the truth, because there are some people who just don't care about how you feel. It's about them. And that's just the way it is. We cannot change people, but we can change ourselves. So always remember that, and try your best to keep your head up. Keep your head up. Know it's going to get better. Things will change, and if you're a believer, know that God will make things right. Believe me, He will turn it around for you. And if you believe and you pray and you just keep the faith and you just keep active and try your best not to let these things bother you too much, trust me, the victory will definitely come, and you will be so happy. And we're all in this together, believe me. None of us are exempt. And know that if you're going through it, that I'm with you in spirit, and I'm cheering for you. You know, we'll be each other's support system, you know, and I think that would be a great way to help us to get through these bumps in the road, so to speak, because bumps in the road do not last forever. That's the good news. Hope that my words can help someone out there, because if I can help at least one person, then I know I made a difference. And for me, that is my life goal, is to make a difference in this world, one step at a time. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a very Merry Christmas. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.